afternoon. I'm Acting Inspector Paul Wozney, spelled W-O-Z-N-E-Y. I'm with the Calgary Police Service Major Crimes Section. 3 months ago, the city was shaken by the deaths of 4 people. Now, following a complex investigation that took investigators to several provinces, the Calgary Police Service has laid charges in connection with the deaths of Glynnis FOX, Cody PFEIFFER, Tiffany EAR, and Hanock AFOWERK. On Monday, July 10th, 2017, Fox, PFEIFFER, and EAR were found deceased in a burnt-out vehicle in Sage Hill. AFOWERK was found deceased 2 days later near Highway 22 and Highway 8. After several public appeals for information related to the homicides, Calgary Police arrested two individuals last night, and they were subsequently charged. Chieh LIAO, age 24, who goes by Diana LIAO, and Tewodros KEBEDE, age 25, both face first-degree murder charges in connection with the homicide of AFOWERK. LIAO and KEBEDE also face 3 counts each of accessory after the fact for murder in the deaths of Fox, PFEIFFER, and EAR. LIAO and KEBEDE are scheduled to appear in court on Thursday, November 2nd, 2017. Although charges have been laid, the investigation is ongoing as we believe that there are additional people involved. We are still seeking public assistance in relation to the investigation and ask anyone who may have information to contact the police non-emergency line at 403-266-1234 or Crime Stoppers anonymously. Information can also be shared via the homicide tip line at 403-428-8877. And I just want to add 2 other things with regards to information that we're specifically looking for. We mentioned in a previous media release going back several weeks that we were looking for a location near the Moose Jaw airfields. I understand there's an airport in Moose Jaw, just outside of Moose Jaw, and there's also a Canadian Forces base outside of Moose Jaw as well. And there's a location where we believe clothing may have been burned or destroyed, and we're asking for people in that particular area of Saskatchewan, of the province, to take a look in that area. Perhaps farmers, if anyone knows that area well, if they could certainly crisscross those roads looking for any burned out locations, looking for that clothing. To this point, we've been unsuccessful in finding that location. And we're also looking for any other information with regards to this matter. As I mentioned earlier in the release, we believe that other people are involved in this offense, and we are still continuing our plea to the community that if they have any information and they want to come forward, if you're scared, if you feel intimidated, we would be able to provide you with assistance if you come forward with that information. So we're inviting anyone to come forward with information, and I'll take any questions that you may have.
Can you talk about what this was all kind of about?
As you can imagine, this is before the courts now, so I am limited in what I can talk about. I can say that all 5 of these, all 6 of these people, the 4 victims and the 2 accused, were known to one another. They have an association to one another, and that was ferried out during the investigation. Their exact the exact nature of those roles, I can't comment on at this particular time.
So is it fair to say that it's no longer believed that the 3 found in the vehicle were in the wrong place at the wrong time? You guys now believe there's some sort of affiliation?
Yeah, I would answer that by saying that as investigations progress and move forward and more information comes to light and we gather more information through court order, investigative theories sometimes change, and we are now of the belief, and this is based on, again, the corroboration of records and interviews and other police techniques, that these people are all known to one another.
Can you say what, between their last arrest, these two people that are now charged, where they've been since they were arrested earlier, like a little while ago?
We located. I was before the community through the media back in July, and we were looking for Diana LIAO, and we were able to finally locate her in Toronto, and she was arrested in Toronto at that time on unrelated charges, and brought back to Calgary to be processed on those charges. Since then she was in the community, living in the community under conditions. Mr. KEBEDE was also arrested in Toronto, and he was remanded in custody in Toronto on unrelated charges, and was brought back to Calgary recently.
Sorry, Inspector, can you just clarify, to go back to what Lucy was asking before that? I know that an investigative process has changed, but is it fair to say that you no longer believe that Fox, EAR, and PFEIFFER they were in the wrong place at the wrong time? They were possibly targeted?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that they were targeted, but I will say that the two accused and our deceased parties were known to one another. We're confident in saying that. Stretching that and giving further comment on that would be irresponsible on my part.
But you also wouldn't say that they were necessarily the wrong place at the wrong time either.
Well, I think that I think I made a statement back in July, believing that we were going down a path of one particular investigative theory. More information has come to light since then, and I'm maybe deviating from that original statement a touch.
So you've laid one charge of first-degree murder against each of them so far. Can you talk about the status of like murder charges for the remaining 3 victims at this point?
Yeah, so those, for us to lay charges, any sort of murder charge, we need Crown approval. We need consent to the Crown before we move forward. And we basically present our case to the Crown. The Crown reviews the information, the evidence before them, and they are able to make a determination based on what we present to them. And we've done that in this particular case. The evidence thus far supports a charge of first-degree murder only for the murder of Mr. AFOWERK. The investigation into the death of the 3 people in the vehicle, that is continuing, and it is full steam ahead with that investigation.
Would it be fair to say that these 2 individuals are still suspects in the homicides of the other 3 victims?
That'd be fair to say, yeah.
Are you looking for other people as well as them to be charged with murder, or?
Like I said in my original statement, we believe that there are other people or parties that are involved in this offense, and just because charges are laid, as I'm announcing today, this investigation is not slowing. It is not being, resources are not being directed elsewhere. We are continuing to pursue the truth in this particular investigation, and we will continue to do that.
Can you say any more about the 2 accused and what kind of criminal element they're involved in? Like obviously they have some relationship to crime.
Yeah, there's a Mr. AFOWERK, or sorry, Mr. KEBEDE and Miss LIAO. Through our investigation, we know that they are associated to one another. I can't comment on what that association looks like, but I would suggest that part of their association is a criminal component to it.
There was another gentleman arrested earlier in this investigation. What is the status of that individual? One that was seen traveling with LIAO?
I don't think he was arrested. I think I know what you're asking. That was the small statured unknown black male that was seen in Moose Jaw on July 12th.
That's Mr. KEBEDE.
Have they been cooperative with investigators so far?
I'm not prepared to comment on that right now.
As far as the search for other parties who could be involved, do you have any idea of who those people are?
Our investigation in that particular, for what you speak of, is we have some investigative avenues that we're going down right now to address that. That being said, and I want to emphasize this, is the city of Calgary and this community always rally around our investigations. And that's one of the reasons for us to not only to disclose this information to the community today, but to ask for the community's cooperation in bringing information forward. And that's why I specifically spoke to that at the start of this presser. And so to answer your question, we have some investigative theories of some other participants, but nothing concrete at this point.
Have the victims' families been able to help at all?
Sorry.
Have the victims' families been able to help with the investigation at all, or shed any light on this?
Yeah, in many of these investigations, and this one has been no exception, is the victims' families are able to help us plug in holes and to produce timelines for their family members.
And how it kind of have you been getting any help from other jurisdictions in this investigation?
Yes, the Calgary Police Service enjoys very, very productive relationships with other law enforcement partners, and that was very much evident in this investigation. The Moose Jaw Police Service, I dare say, bent over backwards to assist us with this investigation as it took us to Saskatchewan. The Medicine Hat Police Service assisted us with this investigation. Members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police assisted us. But really our biggest partner in this was the Toronto Police Service Guns and Gangs Unit. I really can't say enough about the helping hand that they extended to us to help us push this investigation forward.
Anyone else?
Is it, so, oh no, go ahead.
Is there, besides the arrests, these 2 arrests and the charges, what has been the biggest change in the last 3 months, particularly in terms of how the investigative theories have changed in this case?
Much of it is we, as you know, and that's the way it should be in Canada, is for the police to get any sort of documentation, we need to produce a court order. We need to produce warrants to get that information, because we have to be able to articulate and justify what exactly it is that we want and what we need. It's just not, we just don't have a free reign to information. It should be that way. And by the time we're able to write those orders and then get back the results, that takes time. So, and then when we get that information back, to piece it together, to really put together that puzzle, that jigsaw puzzle. And that's really where I'll compliment the investigators. The investigators in this investigation literally for the first 3 weeks worked 20-hour days. This was a complex, I can't emphasize it enough, how much of a complex investigation this was. And to put those pieces together, to put that individual, I guess, the minutiae together of the investigation, and then to put it into a format where it's presentable to the Crown, and then eventually as part of disclosure. I can't emphasize enough what a monumental task that was and is.
You mentioned that LIAO and KEBEDE being involved in some sort of crime, not specifying which, but would you go as far to say that there's gang connections in this, that it's gang related?
I'd go so far as to say it's there's loose criminal networks involved.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.